And welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Walkoff. It is January 14th. Another big episode for us, everyone. I'm Vincent Pacone. I'm joined by my amazing host, Anthony Walsh. And Anthony, at the end of last episode, we predicted two moves that we thought were going to be made at this point. And I said Alex Bregman would be signed. He gets signed. He is the man of the hour. We're talking about a lot today. Bregman, Arenado, Ryan Weathers. A lot in the hot corner. A lot in the hot corner.
That's for sure. I mean, this is another week similar to last week where it's not a ton of moves happening, but it's enough where you don't have nothing. So that's always a good thing.
I think this is exactly what we needed. We needed like a couple different moves, and this is what we get. This is what we get. I think it's perfect. Well, we're gonna jump right in with the man of the hour, Alex Bregman. He gets signed, 5 years, 175 million. Before we get into it, raw thoughts, Anthony. What do we think?
I like it. Alex Bregman's still a very good hitter in this league. Obviously, the years you don't want to give a 5 year deal to a guy who's towards the end of his prime, but that kind of is what it is for free agency. But the Cubs are building themselves a really, really good team now. Like I didn't like the Edward Cabrera move. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll work out. But they're being active in the trade market now, in the free agent market. They're being active in general, and I can't fault them for that. And look, this is a division that's I think is up for the taking. I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers are a good team, but besides that, the Pirates aren't going to win anything. The Cardinals definitely aren't going to win anything especially after the Arenado move. Reds, I mean, they're a solid team, but I don't think they're going to win anything yet. It's really the Cubs or the Brewers division to have. And right now, the Cubs are making all the moves to potentially win that division. Now, they have to do more. I think they have to add to their bullpen a little bit, maybe add a little bit more to their back end of the rotation. But this lineup now, especially that top end of their lineup, is very, very good. I mean, you look at it, you go down, it's Michael Busch, who's coming off of a really good year, Alex Bregman, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, P. Crow Armstrong. That alone is a very, very good 1 through 5 of your lineup. So, yeah, if I was a Cubs fan, I'd be very happy. I've said it before about contracts. If you get a good 2 to 3 years out of it, that's fine. Don't worry about the rest of it. And I think you could get that with Bregman here. So if I was a Cubs fan, I'd be very excited.
I like the move for the Cubs. I really do. I think they're putting themselves in a nice position to win. And a lot of people thought, they make this move. Where does Matt Shaw go? Where does Matt Shaw? Matt Shaw right now is going to be on the bench, it looks like. But this is what I've heard. This is what I've heard. They're really close to the threshold of paying the luxury tax, which I think is like $100 for every dollar over.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and your draft gets impacted, everything like that. Yeah.
yeah. So I heard that they don't want to go over it, and they're really close to it right now. They are very close to the threshold. And if they want to make another move, which I'll be honest, the lineup looks great. The lineup is everything I want it to be right now, but the pitching staff is not. Particularly the bullpen. Not a lot of names in there that I can take out and say, all right, I'm confident of, you know, Holby Miller. Yeah, no disrespect to Milner, not not in the right position. Or Phil Maton, who we've known has had some disastrous moments. It's just names that I don't want to be seeing coming out of the bullpen in a tight game. The lineup looks great. This looks like it could really be a tale of great lineup, average starters, nothing in the pen. That's what it could be. And if they want to trade more money, one theory that's been put out there is trading Nico Horner, which I think would be a move in the wrong direction. Nico Horner, second baseman, he's 28 years old. He's owed, how much is he owed? 35 over the next 3 years, 11 this year. He hit really well last year. He doesn't strike out that much. He walks a decent amount. He's not going to be the home run guy, but he's going to be that average guy that I think this team needs. And there's an option to trade him. And I don't think that's the right idea. I think they should keep Horner and then work to maybe trade a different piece.
Yeah, I'd rather trade Matt Shaw over Nico Horner any day of the week. Now, I understand that you get way more for Horner because he's proved far more at the major league level. Matt Shaw had a very lackluster year last year. But like you have to keep guys on your team that get on base, and Nico Horner's a perfect get on base guy. I mean, it kind of goes back to that Billy Bean Moneyball thing. Like, well, what does he do when he gets on base? Like, I'm not worried that he had 7 homers last year. I'm happy with the fact that he has a 345 on base percentage. Almost hit 300, which in today's game is almost impossible. That's a guy you don't want to get rid of. And I think Matt Shaw, like, yeah, he came off of a bad year, but he's a former top prospect. He's still very young. You could get something for him. You could get a solid reliever for him, I think, without a doubt. Maybe you throw in a mid-level prospect or something. Find a way to make it work, whatever you have to do. You could get a reliever that'll improve your pen from Matt Shaw and maybe another throw-in piece. You don't have to give up Horner. So I would be honestly, I think it takes the Cubs lineup down a pretty big peg if you take Nico Horner out of it. I know he falls towards the end of it, but that's exactly where I'd want him. Right around when you're getting to the middle to end of your lineup, you tend to have a lot of guys that strike out, that don't get on base as much. Horner gets on base. He's almost guaranteed to get on base every time he comes up, whether he walks, whether he gets a single, whatever. Get him on base for the top of your lineup, especially now that you have Alex Bregman. That's a valuable asset. And if you take that away, I'm sorry, I don't like it. Nico Horner is a very solid all around player. I would not be comfortable moving him whatsoever.
I agree. I agree. Now let's go over to the third base position now. So Alex Bregman is going to get an AAV of 30 million, 30 and a half million over the next 5 years, so 2026 to 2030. Um, do we like the deal? Do we think he's worth the time?
I think it is, and like I said, do I think it's going to age particularly well? Probably not. I think years maybe even 3, 4, and 5, but definitely probably 4 and 5 are not going to be prime Alex Bregman. He's going to have deflated numbers. He might not be nearly as good in the field. Whatever. You don't worry about that now. The Cubs are a win now team. For now, though, for the next 2 or 3 years, this guy's still a very good hitter in this league. Still a top end hitter in this league, and that's something that the Cubs need. This is not a team that goes out and spends a lot of money usually. This is not a team that'll get a Kyle Tucker probably. I mean, I know they're one of the teams that might be in on him getting him back. I don't know. I tend to think it'll be either the Mets, maybe the Blue Jays, maybe even the Dodgers. I don't think that they could play with the big dogs in the National League. But to get a guy like Bregman on this team is huge for them. And like I said, solidifies that top end of that lineup. And if you get more out of Pete Crow Armstrong, who's already shown you a lot, this lineup could be one of the best in the game. So, but again, keep Horner in there because you need guys that get on base. But yeah, I like this move 100%, especially for a team that doesn't spend a lot of money.
I like it too. I mean, it puts them in a position that they look like they can win. I think they're out. They're totally out on Tucker. They're not going to get Tucker back. Um, and we'll have to talk a little bit about Tucker in a little bit because I've heard he's got 3 offers on the board right now. Um, but this team, either they're set or they're going to make a trade or they're going to sign like a low reliever starter, something like that, to put in the pen and hope for the best there. I think this is the team that we're going to see walk on the field on March 27th. So I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Um, Now, last question I have to ask you, Anthony, about team particular. With Bregman now on your team, you losing Tucker. They lost Brad Keller in the bullpen, which might take a little bit. They lose Ryan Presley in the bullpen. But you bring in Edward Cabrera. Does this team that won, let's see, does this team that won 92 games last year and made it to the wild card, are they in the same position now?
I think they have to add to the bullpen. I think they're in a position to be right around that win mark. But again, the bullpen point you made is a huge point. Like you could have a great lineup. You could have, and the rotation isn't. It's okay. I'll say it's a mid-level rotation. But you need a bullpen that's at least good enough to close out games for you, and they don't have that now. So they have to figure out something in the trade market. They have to sign. They have to figure out something. But I think the lineup is definitely good enough, and not getting back Tucker if that doesn't end up happening, which looks like it won't. But I'll never put it past them. That would be a sting for them. But Tucker's also a guy that's dealt with a lot of injury issues, so you can't say it's a guarantee that he's going to go out there and be prime Kyle Tucker again. I think he probably will, but you can't guarantee that. Bregman has been a more reliable player despite being older over the past couple years, so it's kind of yin and yang there. You give and you get. But I think Bregman's a very solid if you want to call him a replacement for Kyle Tucker, I guess he somewhat is for that bat. I think he's a very solid replacement for him. And I like pretty much everything about this team. I have concerns about the starting rotation. I think it's good enough right now. Just the bullpen. The bullpen has to be addressed, especially, if they do end up making the playoffs, winning that division. Your bullpen needs to be in tip-top shape to go against the Dodgers. We've seen the Dodgers take a lot of teams into extra innings in the playoffs. It's a very, very hard task to beat the Dodgers. You have to have your bullpen, and you have to have your bullpen deep, too. They can't just be good. It has to be a deep bullpen. Like, the guys at the bottom have to be solid. They can't be horrible. And right now, even the setup guy being Phil Maton is not good. Phil Maton was not good 3 years ago. He's really not good now. So you have to figure something out with that. Besides that, though, yeah, 100%. I think they're one of the top teams in the National League as long as they figure out that bullpen.
All right, all right, all right. So, overall, what do you grade the move?
I give the move an A. I'm happy for the Cubs. I honestly thought he might go back to the Red Sox. I know Red Sox fans are not happy whatsoever. That's a whole other different conversation. But the fact that they won the bidding for him and the fact that they were willing to spend a long-term deal for this guy, I think says a lot about the organization and what they believe in the group of guys that they have now. But they just have to execute on this. I mean, they have probably a solid 3-year window now where they can win the division year after year, and they have to make the moves to solidify that because it could go away from you quickly. I've seen with the Mets, it could go away from you very quickly if you don't lock up a bullpen and you don't make sure you have depth in the starting rotation and guys that stay healthy. And right now with Cabrera, there is risk there. But if you solidify that bullpen, solidify the rotation, this team could beat anybody. I truly think that.
All right, all right. I do want to talk about the Red Sox, but we'll talk about them after the Diamondbacks because I think they kind of go hand in hand. So yesterday, the Diamondbacks make a big move. Maybe big move. I don't know about how big they thought it was going to be, but it comes out to be pretty significant if it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Nolan Arenado is going to be joining the Arizona Diamondbacks. He gets traded for pitching prospect Jack Martinez. And Nolan Arenado is now going to be the starting third baseman for the Diamondbacks. I thought a lot of interesting stuff come out of this trade. I think the biggest thing that I thought was over the next 2 years, Nolan Arenado was owed $42 million, and the Diamondbacks are paying all $42 million of it. Like they're not holding back anything. So I don't know. The Rockies are still paying, I think, like $4 million or something like that for Nolan Arenado. And the Cardinals kind of get off free. They don't have to worry about anything. I like the lineup now, but I think I don't know what they're expecting from Arenado. I imagine he's just, he's going to hold down the fort for the next 2 years. And now Blaze Alexander doesn't need to play out of position. He can go play the outfield where he's supposed to be playing. The other thing that concerns me is they're kind of logging up two positions. Ketel Marte said he's not going to be traded. He's going to stay in the Diamondbacks organization. And Nolan Arenado, both two guys that are, I mean, they're kind of past their prime. I know Ketel Marte is still really good, but how long does that last for? I don't know. That's me.
Yeah, this was a move that, like, honestly, it disappointed me for the Diamondbacks because, like, Nolan Arenado, he's not a bad player now, but if you want to even call him half of the player he was before, I think honestly that wouldn't even really be accurate. He's less than that. He's still solid defensively, but he hasn't won a Gold Glove award in a few years now. His hitting is way far off from where it was even back in 22, 23. He's, I'd say, an average player now. And to take this salary for him where you could be spending it elsewhere, and you could be, even if you didn't want to spend just solely on third base, spread it around, improve your team overall, you could have done more for your team and picked up, 3 or 4 solid players rather than one guy who's over the hill and gives you something defensively but not much offensively. And I don't know, for a team that I wanted to get a little bit younger, for a team that has a fair amount of stars that are now in the 30s, and is competing with the Padres and the Dodgers in that division, you would think that you'd want to get guys that are in their prime and ready to compete. And Arenado does not scream that for me. Like he screams a guy that was in his prime 5 years ago. Like, again, I don't think he's totally useless. Like, he's a solid player. He's not horrible. But there's a reason the Cardinals were willing to get rid of him because the Cardinals are in a rebuild now, and he's old, number one. And he's not what he was. Number two, like if he was a guy that was still producing like he was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe they keep him and say he's a solid veteran presence and he could help us win a couple games and whatever. There was a reason they didn't do that because the guy isn't what he was and he wasn't worth that contract. I would look at it like boy, we let Bregman go for just money and we gave up a prospect for Arenado. Now, I'm not saying the prospect is anything special, but still, I'd rather give up money for Bregman, who's a guy that's playing way better, a way better game than Arenado, than giving up a prospect for Arenado, who's over the hill and doesn't give you much offensively. So yeah, I know this was like a big kind of headline move, but honestly, if it wasn't the name Nolan Arenado, it wouldn't be a headline move because he's not that good anymore. I mean, it stinks because he was at one time the best third baseman in baseball, but we're talking about a guy that's a 13-year veteran here who's in his mid 30s. It's tough for a position player like that to keep going.
I think it's really interesting. It's just it's hard to believe that this Diamondbacks team was in the World Series 2 years ago. I mean, they were right there. They were a team that was really looking great in 2023. In 2024 they just couldn't answer, and now they're not there. I From the 80 win season that they had last year, I don't think this moves them up. I don't think this moves them up that much. I think it honestly, you're getting older. You're getting older. I don't know what they're expecting from Arenado. If they're expecting him to bounce back, I don't think he is going to bounce back. I think he's going to stay where he was. He hit 12 bombs last year and hit 237. I think he's going to stay exactly where he is. And I hope the glove is still there, but I would not be shocked if it's not. Um, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Uh, I guess it kind of fills the hole, but you're logging up areas. You're logging up areas. I think that's the easiest way to put it. I think this is honestly a win for the Cardinals. They ship off everything. Like their entire lineup is guys that they've drafted. Um, I think the only one that they haven't like drafted was Ivan Herrera, who they picked up as an amateur free agent. So they've drafted everybody, and the lineup is not as bad as it looks. I mean, Brendan Donovan is a power hitting second baseman. Why not? Ivan Herrera has been pretty good behind the dish. Alec Burleson has had good moments. Lars Nootbaar, Mason Wynn has looked really good at short. Um, Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, I think might be a bust, but still, like this team isn't half bad in my opinion. Isn't half bad. I don't think they're going to win that many games. I think this is going to look like an early version of what the Orioles were. Just kind of guys we've drafted, no big free agents. They've got to find themselves. But I think in a couple of years, I mean, Mason Wynn looks really good. Lars Nootbaar has had some big moments. Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, like these are guys that can make big statements for you in a couple of years.
Yeah, they have big young players that, yeah, have promise. I won't go as far as to saying they're going to compete this year. They're not, they're probably around maybe 80 wins. But they're doing it the right way. I'll give them credit. Like they're not a team that's going to be halfway and keep Arenado and pay him for no reason and just have him, log up a spot for a prospect potentially to come up or even just a young guy to try out their base. Like there's no point in doing that. So at least they're moving him away and saying, look, we're full rebuild mode. Like they're not lying about what they're doing. So I respect them for that. It's just a question of are the prospects in their system good enough? Are the young guys that they have good enough now? And will they build a team slowly, like you said, the Orioles did, years ago? And the Orioles are kind of in a spot like where, yeah, like they built that team, but they never added much to it. So you also have to add to the team, which the Cardinals is kind of similar to the Orioles, where it's a problem of they don't spend a ton of money. So we'll see. But I do like that they're. I'll say I like the move better for the Cardinals than I do the Diamondbacks, and this is a move that's much more impactful for the Diamondbacks than it is the Cardinals. But you're getting a bad contract off of your team now. You're getting a player that's not going to be the part of your future of your organization off of your team now, and you're closing a chapter on your team that's done. So why not? Like I said, he's a name, but if we took the name Nolan Arenado off and just put his stats for the past couple of years, it would excite nobody. So take away the name, look at the stats. He's a solid defender, that's aging, not going to be nearly as good this upcoming season as he was even the past couple seasons, which wasn't as good as he was in his peak. And plus that with the declining offense. Like to me, this is just it's a head scratcher for the Diamondbacks.
I I think you said it perfectly. I think you said it perfectly. It's a big head scratcher. They looked really good. And I mean, the other thing that really concerns me is Geraldo Perdomo is coming off a phenomenal year. I mean, it's it's arguable to say that he was the best shortstop in the National League last year. He played really well. He did everything right. I I think he played better than Trey Turner, which maybe is just me. But you have him locked up for the next 4 years. What? I think
Corbin
Carroll
Carroll, you have
can,
locked up.
yeah, next 6 years. 6 years? 8 years. They have him locked, or for 8 years until 2030. So they have him for 4 more years. You have these big names that have such, I mean, Geraldo Perdomo has a chance to be a very good shortstop or like a solid, very solid shortstop. Carroll has the potential to be like a superstar. We've seen his speed, we've seen everything. And they might be throwing it away. They just might be throwing it away. I mean, they might have these big contracts, have these older players, and they just might all be thrown away. I don't know.
Yeah, and especially like their starting rotation leaves a lot to be desired. Number one, it's old. Your guy that's supposedly your ace is 37 years old, Merrill Kelly, who's not really an ace. Then you go down the line, Ryan Nelson, a guy who's hovers around a 3 year ERA. Then it goes really downhill from there, from guys with in the ERAs in the fives with Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, Michael Soroka, ERA in the fours. So like, there's a lot of holes there in that rotation. You could honestly make an argument that pretty much all of those spots need to be worked on, um, especially the middle to the end of it. But this is not a team that, like, again, if you were in a division that you're not competing with the Padres and the Dodgers, okay, maybe you could convince me that they could sneak into, the wild card, sneak into maybe even winning a division if it was a really weak division. But you're competing with the best of the best in this division, and you're playing them multiple times a year. So you can't get away from that. And this rotation is not meeting the moment. I mean, you're gonna have Merrill Kelly go get up against Otani. It's not, Ryan Nelson against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like we're playing. It's like little league versus the big league here, and your lineup is not making up for that. Like I like pieces of that lineup, like Perdomo, Carroll, like you just mentioned. But the other thing is you're going to waste a lot of these guys' prime right now because you're not adding enough to the team, and that's frustrating for a guy like Carroll, for a guy like for a guy like Perdomo that did put up very good years and they have nothing to show for it. So yeah, I'm with you that like it does not feel that this team was only in the World Series a few years ago. It feels like this team has been in 80 win territory for a while now. And they were a good team a few years ago, but they never added to it. And that's my concern with these mid-level market teams is that they get success, they get complacent with it, and then they add a aging star, and I think that that's enough to patch up all their holes. It's not, and they're going to see it very soon that the rotation's a problem, the lineup's a problem, and you're not going to compete like you did. Like last year, you didn't really compete in this division at all.
I like it. The other thing to remember is, I mean, Lourdes Gurriel and Corbin Burns, who was both on their roster, are out. They are gone. I mean, Corbin Burns, Tommy John surgery. He got his surgery in June last year. He's not coming back till June this year. That's just not going to happen. And Gurriel tore his ACL in September last year. So you're probably not going to see him this year either. I There's another two pieces that we love to see, and they're gone. And they spent a lot of money on Corbin Burns last year. I have to look at his contract. Let's see. Last guy, I'm gonna look at his contract. I feel like I've been doing that all day. Uh, they have him for until 2030, and they spent 210 on him. And that was 2 years ago. And he pitched, he had what? He was 3-2 last year in his first year with Arizona. And then he got injured. He got injured. He pitched 11 games, 64 innings, and he got injured. And then you have to leave. And now you're going to be gone for another year. And it just seems like it's a contract that is going to age awfully. Then you have another guy who's costing you 42 million, and he's going to age awfully. And then you have Gurriel with the torn ACL. I guess I can understand not going for like a prime left fielder, like not going for uh Kyle Tucker because you have Gurriel, who will be back at some point, and you don't want to, have 1 year with Tucker and then go back to having Gurriel and have that problem. But I mean, maybe a little bit more aggressive on Bregman. That
Yeah,
I feel like is the move that they missed out on.
they could have 100%. Like they're this is you can't go halfway. Like you're either in or you're out, and they've gone halfway. Like they have some guys on their team that are good players for sure, but they also have never addressed some of the aspects of this team whatsoever. So you can't go. That's why I applaud the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals know they're not going to compete, so you might as well just go full rebuild. Don't go halfway and just screw yourself and don't get good prospects and don't build your team the right way and get aging veterans like at a certain point you have to either decide am I competing or am I not competing, and in the division they're in they're not competing, so getting a guy like Arenado and taking on that money just doesn't make sense.
Anthony, my question to you. Oh, I had a question. Oh, I lost it. All right. My question for you, Anthony, is let's look at the Red Sox now. The Red Sox, let's just go over their third base situation of recent times. They signed Alex Bregman last year. All right. He has either a player option. I think he had a player option. Um, 1 year in. Couple, like a month into the season, they trade Devers. They trade away Devers because he doesn't want to play first. He wants to play third. So they traded him because he wouldn't play first. He was going to play third. So he's gone. And now you think, all right, you want to know what? Devers is gone. That sucks. He was supposed to be a franchise player, but we got Bregman. We're going to keep him for the next couple of years. They then lose Bregman to free agency. He goes to the Cubs for 5 years. And then the next day, you see another big third baseman go off the board, and now he's going to the Diamondbacks. And now you're in a position where the guy that you thought was going to play third base is gone. The guy that you thought could be his replacement, you traded away. And now other teams are making moves for a third baseman. The third base hole in Boston just looks awful right now. What do you think?
It does. I will say I don't think it's their plan necessarily. I don't think to start the offseason that Marcelo Mayer was going to play third base, but I'm willing to give the kid a shot. He's still young. I know he hasn't done much at the big league level yet, but he was a top prospect. He was a hot, coming out of the draft, he was a hot name. So I say give him a chance. But yeah, you could be in a hole very quickly in May or June if he's not taken off, and then all of a sudden your production level at third base is in the toilet. So yeah, I don't know. When you got rid of Devers, you had to have had a plan moving forward. Like, all right, this is going to be my third baseman, and I could feel confident in this third baseman. And we thought that was Bregman, but then you just let him go, and you really don't even make that much of an attempt to get him. Like they really were not that aggressive in their attempt to bring back Alex Bregman. If they wanted Bregman, they would have gotten him. They would have blown the other offers out of the water, and they would have gotten him. The Red Sox are capable of spending when they want to. So I don't know. Like I guess they didn't want him back that badly. But I don't know. I guess you're going to see what you have out of Mayer. There is opportunity there. I don't think it's a total, black hole where like there's nothing there. Mayer is a talented player. I think he's kind of got thrown under the fold in this situation where like everybody's just bagging on him for the third base situation, but they don't remember that Mayer is a good player. But you're taking a huge risk for sure. Like this is a win now team, and Mayer's a young player, and maybe this isn't the year he's going to develop. We don't know. So yeah, it's a puzzling situation for sure. I don't think this is how they planned on it going whatsoever, but I do think there is some opportunity with Mayer at third base.
Do you think that if they got Arenado, they would be in a better position? Remembering that they also trade for Wilson Contreras earlier this offseason, so they'd kind of be in the same position with a guy that's kind of logging up a position area.
I don't think so. I wouldn't. I don't think it's good business normally to patch up a position with an older veteran just for the sake of doing that. I think Mayer's ceiling is far higher than Arenado's ceiling right now at third base. I think Mayer has the potential to be a cleanup type of hitter where he's look at his minor league stats. There was a reason why he was a good top end prospect. Now again, I understand he has not proven that at the big league level, but he's 23 years old. That could change, the snap of a finger. So I have some confidence in him. I would not plug that up with a 35-year-old who's been over the hill for a couple of years now. So, by the way, like if Mayer doesn't figure it out by the trade deadline, you can figure something out. There will be third baseman on the market in the trade deadline. I'm not saying it's as good as it was now in this offseason, that the options you had, but it's not like you're just stuck with the way you are right now. Like if things don't work out, you can make moves at the deadline. Now it stinks that you'd have to give up prospects, but that is what it is. You put yourself in a situation like you're the reason Bregman's not back. You're the reason that you traded off Rafael Devers. You made your bed, you lie in it. So if you made this problem for yourself and Mayer isn't the solution at third base and I'm wrong, okay, then you figure that out at the trade deadline. But for right now, I don't think it's that big of an issue to give Mayer a shot. Just that you better be willing to move on him very quickly because the Yankees aren't going to be letting up. That American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays are not going to be letting up. That's a very competitive American League East, and you cannot afford to give away too many games in this division. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out, but it is definitely a puzzling move to see them let two guys who are premier third basemen just walk away from their organization and really, in Bregman's case, get nothing for him, and in Devers' case, there was a lot of questions about that trade too, whether what the return they got for that. So I don't know. It's definitely not a good look for the organization, but it could kind of be a happy accident if Mayer turns out to be the player that they thought he was going to be.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Farther look at this, which team is in a better position overall? Overall, Red Sox or Diamondbacks?
I think the Red Sox, 100%. The Red Sox have better young talent. They have a better pitching staff. Like you can't give me anybody on the Diamondbacks roster that's as good as Garrett Crochet. You can't give me anybody on the Diamondbacks roster that's as good as Roman Anthony. Now, if you want to go Corbin Carroll, okay, but I think Roman Anthony has a better future than Carroll. And plus, even if you were going to argue the other way around and say Carroll does, the Red Sox have better young players in general. Like they have a wealth of young talent, and we saw that last year. So yeah, I think it's without a question it's the Red Sox. The Diamondbacks, yeah, they have some young talent, but they've never built around it. And like we just went over ad nauseum, they have nothing in their rotation. So yeah, I think it's without a doubt it's the Red Sox.
All right. All right. All right. We got one last move, Anthony, to discuss, and that is Ryan Weathers going over to the New York Yankees from the Miami Marlins. He's going over for prospects Dylan Lewis, Brendan Jones, Dylan Jasso, and Juan Matthew. A lot of names. And I what? Brendan Jones, number 15 prospect in the Yankees organization. Dylan Lewis, number 16 prospect. I just I'm looking at this and I'm saying, why would you want to go and get Ryan Weathers? I feel like they addressed a situation that they didn't have. They have 10 starting pitchers now. They have 10.
Yeah, I don't look. I'll play devil's advocate in that you do want to have solid left-handed pitching depth, and I think that is what Ryan Weathers gives you. Although he is at the back end of that rotation now. Like if the season were to start today, he'd probably be the number 4 or 5 starter. So I don't. You can't really call him depth if he's going to be starting every fifth day. I don't. It's not that I don't think Ryan Weathers has potential. I don't think he's a bad pitcher by any means. He had a solid 2024 season where he put up a 3.63 ERA in 16 games. But then you look back at this past season, he only pitched in 8 games. So he hasn't pitched in a lot of games over the past few years, and he's not a guy that's proven that much. And to give away two top 20 prospects for that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, I understand, like we've talked about it before, that the starting pitching market and the pitching market in general is very inflated, and it's hard to get good pitching in the organization. I get all that. But you could get a guy with the talent of Ryan Weathers on the market for a relatively cheap deal instead of giving up two top 20 prospects for him. Like, Ryan Weathers has a lefty with potential, and he's still young. I get that. But he hasn't proven anything to me to say I give up two top 20 prospects. Like, not at all. I did not understand this move at all when I first saw it. I thought maybe, all right, maybe the prospects aren't that good. But then I see their two top 20 MLB.com ranked prospects in the Yankee organization. Now, that could turn out to be nothing. Maybe these prospects turn out to be nothing. But to give up two top 20 guys for a guy that's barely pitched and for a guy that's had an ERA hovering around 4 pretty much his whole career and has a career 4.93 ERA, I don't see what we're doing here. I get lefty pitching is hard to come by, but it's not that hard to come by. And for the Yankees organization, they're an organization that's willing to spend. You have some lefties on the market right now. Like, why not just spend on some lefties on the market rather than getting a guy that's never proven anything and giving up two top 20 prospects? So, yeah, I don't really get this at all.
Do you think that they had Max Fried, Garrett Cole's going to be coming back, uh, Will Warren, Cam Schlittler, Paul Blackburn's in their bullpen right now. Ryan Yarbrough looks like he might be one of their relievers. Like these are all starters. They're starting to use starters in the pen now. I think, the one thing I think their pitching's fine. Garrett Cole's going to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts shoving again. He is their guy. You want Garrett Cole on this line. You want Garrett Cole in this rotation. I think that's just what you need. The 1, 2, 3 punch of Max Fried, Garrett Cole, Cam Schlittler. Schlittler's probably third, but Fried and Cole can be mixed up. I think that's dominant. That's dominant. You have Earl, kind of the present, kind of the past in Cole, Max Fried, the present, and then the future in Cam Schlittler. Like you got all your pieces right there. I think that's exactly what you like to see if you're a Yankees fan. What I don't like to see is them walking out these 9 players and having no support around Aaron Judge. I mean, it's like bringing the big bad wolf in, and you got your paper mache house in Jazz Chisholm guarding Aaron Judge. You got nothing in front of him. Nothing's in front of him. If I'm a pitching staff and I'm going, all right, bases are empty right now. It's a 1-run game. It's the ninth, and Aaron Judge is up. But right after Aaron Judge is Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. I might as well just give Judge the base. I I don't think they have any protection. I think this was their problem last year. They had Cody Bellinger last year, which was nice protection. And Trent Grisham had a really good season. But and I think a lot of Yankees fans will agree when we say this, they are banking on Trent Grisham to have another 20 home run season. So much. I mean, they are what? He had 30 home runs? He
Yeah,
had,
let's see.
uh,
He had,
but they're banking on him to do it again.
yeah,
And they're paying him 22 million to do it. They're paying Trent Grisham, a guy who had one good year,
34 home
22 million.
runs.
Yeah, he had 34 home runs. They're banking on Trent Grisham, who had 34 home runs last year, to do it all over again this year. I I just don't see it. I think this is the team that, you know, is going to be wild card, and they're going to be eliminated in the wild card. Um, I don't see anything past it. I don't see anything past it. This team is just not proven. I like Ben Rice, I really do, but I don't think, in Yankees pinstripes, you're walking out on opening day, Ben Rice, a 36-year-old Giancarlo Stanton, uh, Jason Dominguez, who, just like Volpe, should probably be sent down for a little bit longer. I don't think they're proven yet. And I mean, Anthony, do you really think that the root of all problems was Anthony Volpe's shoulder surgery needing to happen? Because I mean, I get it, he was hurt, but is he really going to have that much upside? Is he really going to turn around and look like, you know, uh, the guy that they've been looking at all year,
No,
his all career?
no, I think his ceiling is being an average major league player, and I think his defense will improve with the surgery. I don't what he showed last year. I don't think was Volpe. I think Volpe is a solid defender at shortstop. I think the injury played a lot into that. But yeah, the Yankees. I really don't know what they're doing here. I was anticipating them being more in on the Kyle Tucker market. Doesn't seem like they are. At least if you trust the reports that are out now. Looks like a three-team race. So I'm not sure what they're doing here. Like you make a good point. If I'm a pitcher right now, I have zero incentive to pitch to Aaron Judge. I have Grisham in front of him, who's shown no signs that he's going to show, to have 2 seasons in a row like he did last year. His whole career, he's been a defense first guy that's an okay bat. I have Ben Rice behind him, who's a solid bat, but is nowhere near the level of Aaron Judge. And then I have a extremely old Giancarlo Stanton behind him. So why in the world would I ever pitch to Aaron Judge? I have zero incentive in almost any situation, unless the bottom of the lineup gets on base. I have zero incentive to pitch to him. So you're basically taking Aaron Judge off of your team at that point, and you're not adding anything. I mean, I know that they're talking to Bellinger and they want to get Bellinger back badly, but the latest report has said that they're at an impasse with him, that he wants a 6 or 7 year deal, and they're not willing to do that. And they offered him a high AAV deal over about 5 years, and he's saying no, and he's sticking to his guns at 6 or 7 years. But he's not going to get that contract anywhere. Scott Boras is arguing with the wall because nobody's going to give him that long of a contract. He had a good year last year, 100%. But his years with the Cubs haven't been forgotten. He was a solid Cub, but he was not a Cub that's going to get a record deal for 7 years in his 30s. Like that's not what he was with the Cubs. He was with the Yankees for 1 year, but that was 1 year. He hasn't proven that over a long stretch. So no team has any incentive to give him the contract that he wants. They're going to wait him out, and eventually he's going to have to cave in, probably close to spring training, and he's going to settle for a deal that he didn't want to take. So right now, I think you're in a situation where you kind of have to bring back Bellinger, but I agree you don't want to give him the contract that he wants. In the meantime, I don't understand why you're not going after Kyle Tucker. Like, don't let Cody Bellinger stop you from going after Kyle Tucker. I don't know if that's necessarily the reason they're not going after Tucker. I think it might just be that they don't want to pay him what he's going to get paid. But I mean, they're the New York Yankees. Like, at what point do we say this is ridiculous? We need to add another big bat to this lineup because Giancarlo Stanton is not that big bat anymore. Like, yeah, he's capable of putting together a solid season, but he gets hurt a ton. He's a year older. You cannot rely on him. You just can't. You can't rely on Trent Grisham to be what he was a year ago. There's not much you can rely on in this lineup besides Aaron Judge, to be honest. Ben Rice is a solid hitter. Austin Wells is a solid hitter. Outside of that, there's not a lot of solid hitters in this lineup. And if you're not bringing in good talent, you're going to waste another year of Aaron Judge. You're going to waste another year of this team. Even if, Cole comes back and he's healthy, you're going to waste a lot. And I think adding Weathers to the rotation, okay, if Cole comes back, maybe he's not. I still see him probably penciled in as the fifth starter, at least in certain situations. Like, there's a reason they gave up this talent for Ryan Weathers. It wasn't just strictly to be a depth piece. Maybe they throw him in the bullpen if need be. But he's not the level of talent that the New York Yankees would normally be bringing in. A guy with the Marlins that showed some flashes and had an ERA around 4. Like, that's not a Yankees acquisition to me. A Yankees acquisition would be a Ranger Suarez or a Framber Valdez. That would be a Yankees acquisition. I'm not saying they need to do that, but it would definitely improve their team a lot. And there's bigger needs. I understand that. But if you're going to give up 2 top 20 prospects for Ryan Weathers, why not pay Ranger Suarez? Why not pay Framber Valdez? Like, at that point, why not? It's just money. But it seems like money has been a big issue for the Yankees these past few years. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the lineup is their biggest concern for sure. But it just puzzles me to see them give away 2 top 20 prospects for a guy that's not that good and really have not spent any money whatsoever this offseason. I don't get it.
I agree, Anthony. That's the right idea. They got to go out and spend. They don't. I don't even want them to spend on a pitcher. I don't care. Their bullpen looks fine. Like I'm fine with running out there and saying, all right, who's in their pen? David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill. Like those are guys I'm fine with. Like leave them in there. Leave them in there. That's fine. That's fine. I think Bednar, Duvall, Cruz, they're gonna be fine this year. They're gonna be fine. That's all you need. Like I just want someone that'll hold down the pen. And if you want to put starters in there for, long relievers or mid relievers, fine. That's okay. Just do that. Just do that. I don't need any more pitchers, though. I don't need any more pitchers. Go get some bats. Please go get some bats. Because Aaron Judge is 33. He's going to be 34 by the time the season starts, I think. Somewhere around there. He'll be close. He'll be very close. You got to put some people around him. His prime is not going to be forever. I mean, there's guys that are going to hit home runs for a very long time. And, there's guys that can do it well into their 30s. It's not that I don't think Aaron Judge is that, but I wouldn't be banking on it. I would not put all my chips in one basket, which is what they're doing right now. I mean, I just don't get it. This isn't the Yankees pinstripes that, people were led to believe. If you're a kind of a casual baseball fan, the one thing you know is the Yankees are going to win World Series. Well, that's exactly what they're not doing. And I mean, listen, you can celebrate going to the World Series in 24 as much as you want, but you got beat. You got beat bad. And, you can celebrate Aaron Judge hitting the home run off the pole against Toronto last year, but you got beat. You got beat really bad. Like, it's insane to think that the Dodgers are 2-time World Series champions and people are still talking about Aaron Judge dropping the ball in the fifth. Like that's what's happening right now, and that's just where we're at. Also, really quickly, Anthony, I know our radio listeners won't hear this, but our video viewers might. My uncle got me a present this year. My uncle Joseph, shout out to him, got me a present this year, and he said he wrapped it and everything. And before I opened it, he said, "This one might mean absolutely nothing to you in a couple months." And I was like, "What? What could it possibly be?" So my uncle got me a Ranger Suarez bobblehead with his Phillies gear on. And he was like, I know he's a free agent. And I was like, as long as he doesn't go to the Mets, that'd be fine. So you want to know what, Yankees, if you want to pick up anyone, pick up Ranger Suarez because he's not coming back to the Phillies. He's just not. And then my
Yeah,
bobblehead will still be it'll still be meaningful to me if he's in Mets colors. I don't know if I can do it. Um, all right, Anthony. We're coming towards the end of our show. We're not done quite yet. We got one more topic to talk about. Three names. Three names I want to discuss. Uh, one, Cody Bellinger. He wants a big deal. He's probably not going to get that big deal. I mean, in my eyes, max he's looking at right now is 3 years.
you
Uh,
really you max 3 years. Wow. Okay, I think you get a little bit more than that.
okay. Do you think 5 years is too much?
I think you could get 4 years with a fifth-year option. I
Okay,
think that might be the ceiling. I could see he holds out enough, maybe getting the 5 years just straight. But yeah, I don't think that necessarily. But I think it'll be larger than 3 years, especially for what he's asking now. That would be a big step down from what he's asking now.
okay. So we never actually. I would love to get your preseason or when the offseason started. Let's see if we've got any of these right. Um,
Okay.
we have not gotten any of these right so far. Neither of us have gotten these right. Uh, Kyle Tucker, we said was going to go. I said was going to go to the Cubs. You said he was going to go to the Yankees. He's probably not going to either. Uh,
Yankees should just hire me. I build a better team.
exactly. Alex Bregman, you said was going to go to the Mets. He's a Cub. I said he was going to go to the Tigers. He is not a
Should
Tiger.
have went to the Mets. I had to deal with Brett Beatty every day, but that's a whole other discussion.
uh, Bo Bichette, you said was going to go to the Yankees. He's probably not. And I said he's
That might yeah, I don't know. It depends on
really
how
okay.
the Phillies talks work out.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't work out and he's just sitting out there, I could see it. But the Phillies might snatch him up, so maybe not.
Okay. Bo Bichette, I said was going to go back to the Blue Jays. He is most certainly not going to go back to the Blue Jays. They don't have the money for it anymore. Max Scherzer, we said Nationals and Athletics. That's still to be figured out. And our last one that we got totally, or the two that we got totally wrong. You said Kyle Schwarber was going to go to the Tigers. I said he was going to go to the Reds. Nope.
Yep.
And Pete Alonso, you said he was going to go to the Mets or Mariners. I said he was going to go to the Reds, and he went to the Orioles. So we're all over the place. But we did not say Cody Bellinger. All right. So Cody Bellinger, where do you think he's going to go? I'm just going to write it down now.
I think he'll end up going back to the Yankees. I
Okay.
think this whole thing eventually will blow over. I think the Mets are kind of out on him now, especially with how now that could be changed in like literally a couple hours if Tucker goes elsewhere and the Mets could pivot back to Bellinger. But as of right now, the Mets offered Tucker a deal that's $50 million per year. That tells me they're out on Bellinger unless Tucker signs elsewhere. And I don't think that Bellinger's market is as good as he thinks it is. I don't think there's not that many suitors for Cody Bellinger right now for what he's asking. Now, if he takes down his asking price, yes, he'll have a solid 3 or 4 teams. But the Yankees, I think they're the only team that's going to even come close to what he's asking for. And like I said, he's going to eventually have to bring that asking price down. Now, it's just a question of when does he do that? Does he wait for spring training to start? Does he wait till February? I don't know. I don't have that answer. Boris has been known as the guy that will wait literally until spring training starts if he has to. But I think it's the Yankees' chase to lose. And I think at this point, like, especially if Tucker goes elsewhere, where else are you going to go to get another big bat in your lineup? There's not the options are going down now. So I think put it this way: for the Yankees' sake, it better be the Yankees.
I agree. I mean, he's got to go to the Yanks. I didn't write anyone. Yeah, I think he's going back to the Yankees too. I j- they need him. He fills that hole. The Yankees, I feel like, are the only team that would say hey, like you did really good last year. We would love to bring you back. I think other teams are a little skeptical and saying, we've seen you the years prior to the last year, and we would need more of a proving ground. I mean, again, not to go back to the point, they're paying Trent Grisham 22 million, and you're telling me that they wouldn't want to bring Cody Bellinger back. Like I feel like that's just nonsense. They need to bring Cody Bellinger back. Um, all right, Cody Bellinger, done set. There we go. Kyle Tucker now. Kyle Tucker, three teams I've heard. Dodgers, which I guess kind of makes sense. I've heard they've kind of been going for a lower deal, like a smaller deal with less years. Uh, it kind of makes sense. I mean, Freeman's aging, Betts is aging, um, Teoscar's aging, Shohei's fine. But I mean, they are aging. But would they seriously take on the money? I think it would be awful for baseball if we saw another big free agent go over there. They already got Diaz. So, I don't know.
I think the answer would be yes, they would take on the money. The question is, will they actually take on the money? Like they would 100%. Like they've given no indication that they wouldn't, but whether they actually will or not, I don't know.
The second team is your Mets. And I've heard like 50 million a year
Yes,
is
for
in the
about
range.
probably about 3 years, because Stearns, as we know, is a guy that's not going to give long-term deals. So the rumor's been that they've offered a 50 million a year deal for about 3 years.
Okay. What do you think about this?
Well, for the Mets, I'm 100% all in. I want him. I understand the injury concerns, 100%, but he's shown enough in his career for me to be confident that he'll be okay. And listen, he's a top five hitter in baseball. Like, why would I not want him on my team? He also fills a need. Like, I think he'd be fine moving from right field to left field. I don't have any issues with that. Keep Soto where he is. If you have Tucker, Soto, and then potentially Carson Bench coming up for center field, that's a very solid outfield, and I would be excited to watch that. I also think that as much as the Mets might not want to admit it, they do know that they kind of need to bring somebody into the fold to get this fan base excited again, because the fan base is very angry with what's happened over the past month or two, with all the fan favorites leaving. So I think that they know they have to do something, and I think that's either going to be Bellinger or it's going to be Tucker. My concern, though, and it's a totally separate issue, is what does this do for them for the pitching market? Does this make them say, okay, I'm not going to spend on Suarez or Valdez because I spent so much on Tucker if that deal actually goes through? That's yet to be seen. I don't know. But it certainly seems like the Mets checkbook has been a lot tighter ever since Stearns has come over. Everybody calls him the small market, GM and all that. I'm not going to go as far as saying that because he did give Soto the contract that Soto got. People give Cohen that credit, but bottom line, Stearns got that deal done, and he's the one that offered the contract. So I'm not going to go as far to say he's a small market guy, but he's definitely much smaller market than what Billy Epler was a few years ago, who was giving contracts to literally everybody that walked through the door. So that would be my only concern. I'm not concerned with literally anything Kyle Tucker wise himself. Like, yeah, he's had injuries the past couple of years, but it's nothing that is chronic or really worries me. He's a very, very good player. There's a reason that he's getting the market he's getting right now. Like, now, is he necessarily worth $50 million a year? Probably not. But it's not coming out of my bank account, so I really don't care. And he brings a very, very good bat to this lineup, and he adds protection for Juan Soto, which you do not have now with Pete Alonso gone. You need protection for Juan Soto, and Tucker fills that void, and that's very, very important. So yeah, the only concern it would be for me is whether or not it affects the pitching market. Now, whether or not the Dodgers actually go through with it, I know the Blue Jays have been in on him too. I don't know. I can't imagine that the Dodgers are gonna add even like if the Dodgers sign him. By the way, it'll affect their draft position, which I don't know if they care that much about that. Like I guess not because they're a win now team and they're going for the three-peat, so probably not. But no team has ever signed multiple players with a qualifying offer and basically killed their entire draft, which is what the Dodgers or the Blue Jays would be doing right now if they sign him. So I don't know if you want to take that history into account and say that he'll go to the Mets. I don't think it'll have that big of an impact, but I think it is a consideration where the Mets wouldn't have that because they haven't signed a player to a qualifying offer, and they got the pick from the Dodgers when the Dodgers signed Diaz. So I don't know. I'm fairly confident that the Mets could get it done, But the way this offseason has gone, I can't be totally confident. And even if we do get him, I'll be excited, yes. But my immediately next question will be, okay, what are you doing to address the pitching staff now? Because you could have Tucker all you want. This pitching staff is not good enough, nowhere near. And if you don't address the pitching staff, you're in for big issues.
I like that take. I mean, they do need to uh you you do need to fix the rotation. I like McLean though at the one spot for them. And I think I think they have guys that can do very well, but they also have guys that can do awful. I mean, Sean Manaea could be great, but he could also be like the worst pitcher we've ever seen. The same thing with David Peterson. I think those are the two guys. And Clay Holmes. All right. Despite that, I think this is the move for them to make. I think this is a perfect fit for them. Uh, think about it. I mean, going back to what I said last week, I don't think Kyle Tucker's a guy that you want to say, all right, like, we're going to guard him. Like, he's not an Aaron Judge, but he can guard an Aaron Judge. He can do a really good job of guarding an Aaron Judge. Like, he could be the padding in between Judge and, Bellinger. Something like that. This is a perfect move because he has padding. Francisco Lindor, if he comes over, he'll be in front of Tucker. So you have your padding there. You have padding behind you in Juan Soto because Juan Soto is probably going to hit in the three spot. I would imagine you put Tucker in the two, right?
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe. I
somewhere
think there
around
is
there.
some incentive to protect Soto though. I think that's also part of it. Like you want somebody behind Soto that's a threat because otherwise Soto's going to get walked.
Yeah,
But
but
I,
you
I
could
mean, I
put
wouldn't
like
be against it.
Simeon, something like. But I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying. You put them like you switch those three up somehow, and it works really
right.
well. I think this move, I think this move puts them in the playoffs, which is a step that they need to make.
Just
Right.
solely this move makes them a wild card team. You think?
I think it
Like
makes them a wild card team. What they
I
they don't have Diaz now. I think that sucks. You don't have Alonso anymore. That sucks. But you don't lose defensively. Simeon's glove is still there, and he's playing second base, so that's fine. Lindor's glove is still there. He's playing short. That's what you need. The middle of the infield is great. Is Beatty going to be the best third baseman? I don't know his glove that well. I think that's more of an Anthony question.
it's an average glove. It's not horrific, but it's average.
I I like it. I like it. I think this is the move for them. I think overall, yeah, you're gonna if you bring in Tucker and you don't, you know, like you're not gonna have as many home runs as you did last year. You're not gonna get another Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso was one of a kind. You're just not gonna get him again, and that sucks. But that's how it works. Uh, but on top of that, I mean, the average is gonna go up a little bit. I could see Soto and Tucker both hitting in the 300s. That could look really good. Do you need, three all-stars in your rotation to make a wild card spot? No. But you could have one. And I think Nolan McLean, this could be a guy that do I want to put all my faith in him? No. But he's got average guys behind him. I think that's all you need. That might be all you need. I don't think they're going to contend for a division title, but I think they can really contend for a wild card spot. Let me ask you, if you take this roster right now and you add Tucker to it, do you think they have a better record than the Reds last year?
I think it's close to the record the Reds have last year. I don't
Okay.
think it makes. I don't think it makes them a wild card team just because of the rotation. I think. Look, I like Nolan McLean. I really do. But he's a rookie and he's had a cup of coffee at the major league level. We don't know what we're going to get out of him this season. We just don't. I mean, I think he's going to have a good year, but I can't say that for sure. The rest of that rotation is spotty at best. You mentioned Manaea. Manaea had a great 2024. He had an injury-riddled 2025. And if you look at the rest of his career, He's very hit or miss, and he's never had a year as good as he was in 24. So I have no reason to believe he's going to repeat what he was in 24. I have more reason to believe it's going to be somewhat what it was like last year. I'm not saying it'll be a total disaster, but probably around 4.5 ERA, which is not good enough. Clay Holmes is coming off of actually a solid year. He was one of our better pitchers last year, but it's only his second year being a full-fledged starting pitcher, so that would worry me. David Peterson's coming off of a bad year. There's a lot of holes there. And I like Brandon Sproat too. I think he should start the year with the team, but he's another guy that's a rookie. Jonah Tong should start the year in AAA. He was not ready to be at the big league level. So there's way too many holes. Honestly, I think they need two starting pitchers. You need minimum one. Minimum one. You need somebody that is a reliable arm in this rotation. Give me Suarez, give me Valdez, whatever. Don't have that much of a preference either way. I mean, either one of those guys is a massive upgrade over what we have now, and is a proven starting pitcher. So I'm fine either way. But they need one of those two guys, and if you don't get one of those two guys, this rotation could really flame out like they did last year very quickly. Now, yeah, does Tucker make them a better team? Without a doubt. Now, even if you want to make the argument that, okay, they'll be better than the Reds and they'll sneak into a third wild card spot, fine. I'm not going to necessarily dispute that argument, but they'd be knocked out in the wild card. They would not make it past the 3-game series in the wild card. Not whatsoever. Not with the way this rotation is now. McLean would have a great game. Okay, if you want to give me that, I could buy that. Outside of that, what are you going to get? What is Manaea going to give you? What is Sproat going to give you? I don't know. I like Brandon Sproat. I can't say he's a proven starting pitcher. He's not. Manaea, like I said, the injuries. Peterson has had a lot of injury issues, and last year he had a worst year of his career. So this is a team that just has to add starting pitching. And by the way, I know they've addressed the bullpen, but the additions they've made haven't made me that excited. I mean, Devin Williams, okay, has had a great career with the Brewers. Great might be a little bit much. Good career with the Brewers, but come off of a bad year with the Yankees. Luke Weaver is a solid setup guy, but he's not that much of a needle mover. Uh, the bullpen needs addressing too, and they haven't done that much to address it. So I don't know. I know it's a totally new back end of that bullpen, and Diaz is gone now, which really is upsetting for Mets fans. Tucker doesn't totally replace the Alonso bat, and that's also part of the issue. You're improved defensively without a doubt. Marcus Simeon's a good defensive player, 100%. But I haven't seen enough to say this is a team that's going to be better than it is last year. Um, and the only way I can see that is if you bring Tucker in and you sign a premier starting pitcher, and you add to the middle to back end of that bullpen. Those guys, Stanek was horrible last year. You need a guy that replaces Stanek. Right now, we have no real replacement for Stanek. So yeah, this team, it needs a lot of work. I think there's promise there. Everybody's making fun of the Mets. They're a horrible team. They're not a horrible team, but they need work. And I'd be very excited to get Kyle Tucker into the fold. But it's a lot more than just a Kyle Tucker fix. The same way it was a lot more than just the Juan Soto fix last year. I had the Juan Soto blinders on, and I was so excited. I still am excited to have him on my team. But as we saw, it didn't solve that much for the Mets last year. He's a great player, but you have to build around him. So I think the Mets could be in the same situation as the Yankees, like where they have some great players, but they don't have enough. And that's what worries me. So yeah, sign Tucker, sign Suarez or Valdez. I'm much happier.
Okay. Okay. I can agree with that. Uh, I saw, I was looking over it when you mentioned Stanek. I saw the Cardinals sign Stanek,
Yeah.
over the last couple of days. Uh, and I just thought it was funny. They put out like a hype video for him of all of his highlights on the Mets. I was like, I know he didn't do good. I don't know why they're putting that out there. The-
2024 in the postseason he did well, but
yeah,
25 was
yeah.
horrific.
No. I remember there was like a video of him like striking out a Rocky. And I was like, come on, guys. Like, come on. Let's put something serious out here. All right. Our last thing to talk about is Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette, he's got a lot of rumors. He recently just met with the Philadelphia Phillies 2 days ago, and it's being said that they had like a mutual time, they had a good time, and I heard that the meeting went pretty well. Here's my thing. All right, so I'm a Phillies fan. All right, and there's a lot that goes into this. I would love to have him on my team. I would love to have him on my team. Uh, but I don't think anyone in their right mind would have said it at the start of the offseason. Oh, we're gonna go get Bo Bichette. Like, no, he plays short. and he plays DH, but you're probably going to sign Schwarber again. So where is that going to go? I think this is an interesting move. I think it's partly or majorly because of Don Mattingly. Um, they hire him as his bench coach, and there's like tons of videos of Mattingly talking to Bichette and this and that, and him giving him a hug after the World Series lost. And now Mattingly is the bench coach for the Phillies. I don't know. Can it happen? Yes. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I I think this is a move for the Phillies that if they make it, it's going to help them a lot. If they don't make it, I'm not surprised because I just didn't think it was going to happen. I don't know what his other suitors are, and I don't know who else wants him. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. So obviously you have Turner at shortstop. How would you feel about Bichette going to third and replacing Bohm?
Um, so this is what I've heard. Right now, the big argument is if you get Bichette, you're out on JT, which I think hurts a lot. I think it hurts a lot. And I know like people have said you're gonna have the reviewable strike zone next year. So framing isn't as needed anymore and the catching position's kind of different. I understand that. But like every pitcher that has come through Philadelphia always says like JT is the guy. Like he is the guy that he's calling the pitches. He's calling the pitches. He's making the calls, and he knows his pitchers. I think that's a big thing. I would love to see the splits between ERAs and strikeouts and all this stuff with Rafael Marchand behind the dish compared to JT. I know JT has a bigger sample size and all this, and he knows the pitchers better. But nonetheless, I think that's my thing. If you sign Bichette, you're out on JT, unless you trade Bohm, unless you trade Bohm. And I think a lot of people are done with Bohm in Philadelphia. They don't want to see him anymore, and he's just not proven. I've always been a big believer in Bohm, and maybe my my heart is misplaced in this one. But I wouldn't be mad if we traded the my solution to it would be my my perfect offseason if we sign Bichette would be we sign Bichette, we trade Bohm, and we get JT still. I think that would be fine. That would make me a happy man. And I think, Ranger's not going to come back. He's not. Hopefully Painter comes up for the Phillies. But overall, Anthony, they need to make a big run in the playoffs. And the last 2 years have been like disgusting. They've won two total games in the last 2 years in the playoffs. That's awful. That's awful. And Harper Harper might not be happy with the franchise anymore. Like he might not want to be a Philly anymore because Dave Dombrowski said that he's not elite. He's not elite. He's not. But why would you need to say that? Like even in the conference, it just didn't make any sense why he would say it. Watching the full clip. Um, whatever. Uh, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, here's how I look at it. I'll give you a quick explanation. I,
Let
I
me see.
agree with you. If you get rid of Bohm, you bring Bichette in, and you bring back Realmuto, that would be ideal. I don't see any reason why they couldn't bring in Realmuto and Bichette though. Like outside of just being cheap, why not? Like you're this is a team now that's I think the oldest team in baseball.
Probably.
So I looked at the lineup now. Trey Turner's 32, Schwarber 32, Harper 33, Bohm 29. He's one of the younger ones. Uh, Almost everybody in this lineup is at least 30 or is very close to it. So you're in a spot like you got to win. Like we said it last year, or at least I said it last year that I thought that last year was your chance to win. Otherwise, probably not. And I still kind of think that. But Bichette does improve the odds of me being wrong on that, and this year being the year. Um, and I think that he solidifies a hole there. Now, Bichette's not the greatest defensive player. There is concerns about him moving from shortstop to third base. I get that. But his bat makes up for it by a long shot. And Alec Boehm isn't exactly a great player at third base either, and his bat is average at best. So like, why not bring in a guy that at least is going to be way better with the bat with Bichette, and also gives you one of the best 1 through 5s in baseball. If you add in Bichette, that's a very good 1 through 5. Um, but I think 100%, like zero doubt, you have to bring back JT Realmuto. There's no way around it. I mean, look at the catching market. The catching market is nothing there. Like Ramuto is pretty much the only one. So if you don't bring back Ramuto, Rafael Marchand's your catch. Like you cannot go into the season with Rafael Marchand being your catcher. The pitchers love Ramuto. He's still a solid enough hitter. He's still very solid defensively. Even if you take away the framing, which framing does still have somewhat a place in the game. I know they have the challenge system now with ABS. There still is a place for it because they're not going to be challenging on every pitch. So you can still get away with some balls and have them be strikes with framing. So there is some value in that. And he's still a very good blocker, still good at throwing out runners. 100% you have to bring back Realmuto. But there's zero reason in my mind why you can't bring back Realmuto and get Bichette. Now, will that happen? Maybe not. But like, how are you going to have a team this old and you didn't sell everything and then not go all in? Like, why? What is the point of that? You're just wasting another year. You're wasting money. You're wasting the fans' time. Might as well bring in Bichette, trade Bohm, bring back Realmuto. Let's go. And then you have a team that is the favorite to win the National League East. It already is the favorite to win the National League East. But I put nothing past the Braves. The Braves are coming off of a very bad year, but they're getting healthy now, and we know they're a team that you should not forget about. So, and I like to put my Mets in the conversation. They need to do a lot more to get in that conversation. I'm not even going to put them there yet. But if you add Bichette, this is a team that 100%, and you keep Realmuto, 100% is a favorite to win the NL East. And you might not choke again if you have Bichette. Bichette's a clutch postseason player, and you've had a lot of problems with finding clutch postseason players. Harper hasn't been clutch. Pretty much your whole lineup. I don't need to go through the whole lineup, but pretty much your whole lineup hasn't been clutch in the postseason. So why not add a guy who's proven that he's clutch in the postseason?
I think I've said this, all right? Um, and tell me what you think because I've said it to a lot of Phillies fans and they've kind of brushed it off and everything, and that's fine. Uh, I would not be mad if hypothetically, instead, let me just look at the contracts really quickly. Like he's due 10 million this year. I would not be entirely mad if, we go out and uh I don't know, traded Stott, who's owed a lot less and isn't 10 million, but I wouldn't be mad if we traded Stott instead of Bohm because I mean, listen, Bohm has had a lot of down points, but his highs have been pretty good. I mean, he was the all-star starting third baseman for 2024. Stott's never made it to an all-star game. Stott was supposed to be this big hitter and everything, and he's getting a little older. And like he's gonna have to hit free agency. It's the same thing with Bohm. I think no matter what you look at it, no matter which way you look at it, I I don't know if the window is still open, and I don't know when the window is supposed to close now. Because clearly, like baseball and father time and everyone is on the top of the window and they're weighing it down and then it's trying to close. But somehow, some way, Dave Dombrowski is just putting his hand in there and not letting it close yet. I don't know if that's the right idea. Like, I don't know if you should keep the window open or if you should just, I mean, what? Harper's got 5 more years on his contract,
Jeez.
which is insane. Turner has, let's see, Turner's got uh, a lot more. He's got 7 more years on his contract, and we just signed Schwarber to 5. So maybe the next 2 years, I would say, all right, like we're going all in. After that, no, scrap it, just say goodbye. If Schwarber is still on the team in 4 years, I would be shocked. I would be shocked. If they're not trading him away, I would be shocked. If, if they're not trading Trey away in a couple of years, I would be shocked. I think the only guy on this team that isn't going to be traded away in the next 40 years is Harper. I think Harper's the
Right.
only guy for the sole reason of I don't think Harper wants to be traded, and I don't think the fan base would like to see him be traded because of
Plus the
like
contract. The
exactly,
contract. Who's going to want to take on that contract 3 years from now?
exactly. I'm still shocked Castellanos is on the team. I don't like they made such a big fuss of all right, he's gone. Like he's not going to be on the team. We're actually signing a guy to put in besides you, but you're still on the team. Like I don't think anyone's going to take on that contract. I think it's the Philly situation is so weird. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. Uh, it's like you keep on taking out. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. It's like using a pen, right? And the pen is clearly almost out of ink, but you keep on using it. And now all of a sudden you're putting in like a half tube of ink into the pen. But the pen's clearly breaking. Like the top is breaking off and you can see little cracks in the pen and everything. You can clearly, you know, get a worse pen that'll get better in time, if that makes sense. But instead, you're like, no, I'm sticking with this pen. I know this pen is going to work. It's going to write me a couple more paragraphs. I don't see why you need to keep using this. I'm a Phillies fan. I'm a Philly fan in all sports except for hockey. All right. Go Devils. But listen, trusting the process didn't work. All right. Joel Embiid did not work. Trusting the process just didn't work for the Sixers. Buying the future for the Phillies didn't work. Philadelphia traded their soul for a Super Bowl win, and they got it. All right. I don't think you're going to see any success from the Phillies anytime soon. I wouldn't be shocked if they win the division, but I would not be shocked if they win one game in the playoffs and get eliminated in four. Whether it's the
Yeah.
Dodgers, the Mets, the Reds, like in my eyes, you could be the Reds. Like if the Reds were to make it out of that wild card or for some way they were playing the Phillies in the divisional series, I wouldn't be shocked if it was the same result. If they Phillies lost one game or they won one game and then they lost three. They don't look productive. They don't look productive and they look worn out.
My I don't disagree with anything you just said. I would only say you're in the spot whether you bring Bichette in or not. So you might as well bring in the better talent. Like if you don't bring in Bichette, doesn't all of a sudden make these guys younger? Doesn't all of a sudden change the clock that you have to have success and win, which is a very short clock. I agree. But if you bring in Bichette, and at least on paper extends the chances you have. So like even if you move Stott, fine, I have no problem with that. Move Stott or Bohm. If I was a Phillies fan, I would care less which one you move. But either way, you're improving with Bichette, and like at that point, why not? Like Bichette's not he's not young, but he's younger than most of pretty much all of your stars on your team. So even if you were to go semi rebuild after this, he could survive that rebuild and still be productive enough at 31, 32, and still be somewhat in his prime and be a good hitter on a future Phillies team that has different players on it and is a semi rebuild. I don't think they'll ever go full rebuild, but semi rebuild, and he could be productive on that. So I don't think it's not. It's like he's like 32 years old and he's towards the end of his prime. He's still in his prime by any means. So like you're in this spot regardless. Why not add to it? Like you don't bring him in. It's not all of a sudden changing anything. You might as well just improve the team.
I I'm gonna make a I'm gonna make a Phillies reference here. All right. For any Phillies fans out there, if this year reminds you of anything, all right, I want to take you back to a year 2012. All right, 14 years ago. All right. Pitbull was huge and the Giants were just getting started on their even year World Series runs. All right, they were going to win the World Series again. The Phillies before in 2011 won their franchise record of like 100. How many games they won? They won 102 games. All right. The year after, they were like, all right, or we got uh, basically the same roster. We're running it back. All right. They won 81 games. They won 81 games, and they had a mediocre roster at best. Now, yes, like I don't know. They had injuries, I guess. whatever. Freddie Galvis came. That was his first year. Jim Tomei was 41 years old and on the team. Uh, whatever. Carlos Ruiz was 31. Howard was 32. Utley was 33. Rollins was 33. Placido Polanco was 36. Juan Pierre was 34. Shane Victorino was 31. Hunter Pence was their only guy in the starting nine that was under 30, and he was 29. Cole Hamels was 28 at the time, so he was still a little young. They had Halliday, Cliff Lee, um, and a whole other guys, but they tried to run it back. It didn't work. All I'm trying to say is that's what I've been expecting, and that's what I'm expecting from this team. Like this, it might be the last year. Like if we don't get Bichette, I guess is my way of putting it. Like we're not going to compete. I don't think we'll be competing in the playoffs. I think we'll be in the playoffs, but I don't know if we're competing. And then
You
after
think you win a
this,
division?
no. The
Wow. Okay.
I
Braves.
think I think the Braves win. I think the Braves win. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if the Phillies come in second, just because if you look at the Mets and the Phillies have the pitching. Like the Phillies have that's what I think will bring them to the wild card because they have Sanchez who's coming off second place in Cy Young, and you know, Wheeler hopefully is coming back for a final year, and Luzardo looked a lot of fun last year. Like all these different pieces, I like their pitching staff, and I've always liked their pitching staff, but their lineup is just it's just too much. It's too much for me to handle, and it's too much. I
Lot of old guys.
way too
A lot of
many
old
old
guys.
guys. I mean, like we were just talking about, you know, Nolan Arenado and Ketel Marte clogging up the infield. Talk about clogging up the entire lineup. I mean, they have a clogged up DH spot. Like that's what shocks me. If Bryce Harper goes down with another injury like he had in 22, 23, where he can't field for a little while. 23 because uh no, 22 because
Wasn't it a
the
hand wrist injury or wrist injury?
something like that.
Yeah.
But he could hit, he just couldn't field. So they put him in the DH spot. And like Schwarber was playing the outfield in that point, and that's fine. But like right now, like Schwarber played 162 games of, or I mean, he had to have played 155 games at 162 at the DH position. Like he's clogging up your DH spot. If Harper goes down with an injury like that and he can't field but he can hit, well now he can't play at all because Schwarber is going to be hitting the entire time. I don't know. That's just me. That's my Phillies rant for probably the next month. I think we've all had enough of that. Would like to remind our fans that we will be back next week in studio. You don't even have to wait a week to listen to us, just 6 days. We are now on Tuesdays. Tuesdays, 12 to 1. All right. Wake up, go to work, go get your sandwich, take a little lunch break, 12 to 1. Listen to the two guys that you want to hear talk about baseball. One last semester, our last dance.
One last ride.
My
Make
goodness.
it count. Let's get some. I gotta get some interviews in here. I'm gonna be working, man. I'm gonna be working.
Yes. Hopefully, we have an interview set up with the Rockies play-by-play announcer,
There we
which
go.
is very small because they're the worst team in baseball, but he is a human being. And so whatever. So there's that. Would also like to remind our fans 49 days to World Baseball Classic, which is Anthony's least favorite time to
Oh,
watch
I'm
baseball.
hyped up for that, man.
37 days till spring training games, which I can't wait for. 70 days on the dot until opening day. 27 days until pitchers and catchers report. It's January 14th. Get your baseball hats on. Get ready. Stay warm because the sun's coming out soon. And I promise you, we will be talking about baseball in season once again. Uh, for our last time. Our last time. This is it.
Oh my goodness. Don't make me cry, Vincent.
Gonna make me emotional. I know. I thought we should, at some point before the season starts, we should do like a look back to 2022 onto the season then, and to
That'd
look
be
back
fun.
like, wow, like look how much things
The
have changed.
Phillies World Series when we were on, we talked about Phillies World Series. We're all hyped up. We should go back and
I
listen to that.
know,
That'd be cool.
I know, I know. There was that. A lot of fun stuff. A lot of fun stuff. When did Lindor become a Met? Before that.
21. That was before you.
Ah, I feel like we've covered some big trades. Well, Cody Bellinger. I feel like maybe Devers might have been the biggest trade in the last couple of years. All right. Well, we want to thank you for listening to the walk-off once again. We will be back. Remember, look at Anthony and my socials because Anthony's been posting a lot of cool videos, and I've been taking after Anthony because he's a pretty cool guy. So more baseball to come, more walk-off to listen to, and we'll see you guys next time.